Five Nights at Freddy's is known for a few things, mostly for being the most accurate minimum wage and employment simulator currently on the market, and to a lesser extent, haunted animatronics. What is haunting these uncanny undulates, you might ask? The only thing on Earth scarier than a 7-foot murder machine, of course.
Children.
Murdered one specifically. Now, FNAF isn't exactly well known for its cohesive and decipherable lore. It's kind of one of the main draws of the series, so everything apart from the fact that some kids get murked and stuffed into suits is kinda unconfirmed, but we have a good idea of the gist of the story. An employee of Fazbear Entertainment, who is widely thought to be William Afton, the co-owner of the company, killed some children for some reason. I don't know. I'm not a murderer. Don't ask me why they do what they do. If the true crime documentaries are to be believed, then it has something to do with the entitlement and wanting to feel empowered and control. Anyway, he hid the bodies in the animatronics at some point for some period of time, and then the ghosts of the children animated the bodies of these animatronics, causing them to run around their own at night. Woo! So here's the $120.50 question. Who was the first victim? Which kid did he murder first? It's more complicated than you might think. Let's look at all the haunted animatronics in the OG series and work backwards from that. In FNAF 1, there's Freddy, Bonnie, Foxy, Chica, and Golden Freddy. In FNAF 2, it's Withered Freddy, Withered Bonnie, Withered Foxy, Withered Chica, and the puppet or marionette. The toy animatronics are considered to be programmed to be aggressive and not necessarily haunted. Different people have different opinions on that. In FNAF 3, it's Springtrap. In FNAF 4, technically none. The nightmare animatronics are, well, nightmares. In Sister Location, it's Circus Baby, and it's not really confirmed if the rest of them are actually haunted or if it's like their AI that's kind of weird and murdery. And in Pizzeria Simulator, it's Scrap Baby, Lefty, Molten Freddy, and Team Springtrap. The Melody and Rockstar animatronics aren't confirmed to be haunted. Ultimate Custom Night is in hell, supposedly. So while the memories of the dead kids might be part of those animatronics, they aren't necessarily haunted so much as they are demonic manifestations, if that makes sense. So here are dead people. We have William Afton, aka Springtrap. He's not a victim, obviously. He's the victim producer. We have the stage crew, Freddy, Bonnie, Foxy, and Chica, whose names, if the gravesite we see in Pizzeria Simulator are supposed to be aligned with the heads in the FNAF 3 ending, are Gabriel, Jeremy, Fritz, and Susie. We have Circus Baby, who's possessed by Afton's daughter, Elizabeth. We have the puppet, who's possessed by Charlie, who is Henry Emily's daughter, the other co-owner of Fazbear Entertainment. And we have a little bit of a wild card, Golden Freddy. So Afton's youngest son, who might be named Dave or Evan or something like that, was accidentally killed. Not by Afton, but by his older brother Michael. He specifically was crushed to death by Golden Freddy, or Fredbear, and he talks to a little Fredbear plush throughout FNAF 4. So he's the spirit haunting Golden Freddy, right? Well, enter Cassidy, if that is their name. They are shrouded in mystery, intentionally, but they are one of the 5 kids who were murdered, and it is implied in Custom Night that they are the one possessing Golden Freddy. Maybe both of them are Golden Freddy, maybe not, it's vague. They are assumed by most of the community to be the last victim, maybe? So here's the thing, we don't have a confirmed timeline. We have an idea of a timeline, but it's kind of vague, but we know some things for sure. As far as the OG titles go, FNAF 3 and Pizzeria Simulator are at the end. FNAF 2 predates FNAF 1, Sister Location is probably between FNAF 1 and 3, but it's kind of ambiguous, and FNAF 4 is thought to be somewhere near the beginning. So I'm gonna go ahead and eliminate both Afton and Elizabeth because, well, one of them is the killer, and the other one seems to have died further in the timeline. So that leaves the Crying Child, Charlie, Cassidy, Gabrielle, Jeremy, Fritz, and Susie. Crying Child wasn't actually killed by Afton, but he is important for later, so we're going to keep him in mind. So none of the characters explicitly say what order they were killed in, except...
Let's go somewhere more private, so I can eat you.
I was the first. I've seen everything. Susie was one of the murdered children who would go on to possess the Chica animatronic. It's implied that her dog went missing at Fazbear's Pizzeria. Maybe Afton had a hand in it, and he, dressed in the spring Bonnie suit, told her he knew where her dog was and lured her away to be killed. Now, Susie has 2 major pieces of evidence that suggest she was the first, or at least one of the first, children murdered. One of them is from Ultimate Custom Night. Withered Chica has a couple of lines she will say if she's the one to kill you, and there are 2 of them that I think are particularly interesting as far as this theory is concerned.
I was the first. I have seen everything. I have seen him, the one you shouldn't have killed.
Okay, so she says she's the first. Mystery solved, right? Well, Not quite. Let's look at our next piece of evidence, the Give Gifts minigame in FNAF 2. The goal of this game is for you, playing as the puppet, to give 4 presents to 4 corpses, implied to be the 4 murder victims. A mask is placed on each of the victims that correlates to one of the 4 main stage member animatronics. The first corpse at the top left, Chica's mask. But there are 2 other characters we have to contend with here. There is Golden Freddy, who pops up at the end of the game. I'm going to go to that later. And there's the puppet, or Charlie. If Charlie was the one giving life, then Susie was not the first murder victim. So what were they the first in? Well, out of the 4 corpses in the minigame, there were most likely the first of the main stage crew at least. We know that the murders didn't all happen at the same time, they were spread out over time. The animatronics, it seems, had the shortest gap of time between them. So, Susie was at least the first as far as that group is concerned.
I recognize you, but I'm not afraid of you. Not anymore.
Charlie, on the other hand, is a murder that stands out because they were stuffed inside a suit, and they were killed outside. It's possible that the reason Charlie's corpse wasn't hid was because it happened outside, and the passing car or person might have spooked the killer before they could properly dispose of the body. The fact that Charlie was locked outside might imply that there was a premeditated situation, but I'm going to bring in some criminology here to suggest something that might not be true, but is interesting. Serial killers, aka people who kill 3 or more people at separate points in time, usually kill impersonally and with a modus operandi, which just means they normally use a similar method and style when they commit these murders. Acted would dress in a suit of a character that these kids knew and trusted. He would lure them somewhere in or near the pizzeria, kill them, and hide their corpses in the suits, at least temporarily. He did not know these kids or have any relation to any of them, as far as we know. They were just weaker and more vulnerable than him, which is all in line with what we see from real-life serial killers. Charlie has a direct connection to Afton as the kid of his business partner and his friend, Henry Emily. She was lured outside without being lured, and the statistically probably man didn't seem to be wearing any kind of costume, if we go off the minigame where this murder is first shown. Her body was also left outside. I think based on this evidence, it's very possible that Afton did not kill Charlie. If you look at the ways the characters who we know were murdered talk to who believe to be Afton Ultimate Cusp Midnight, they're obviously pissed and talk about how excited they are to hurt and mutilate and get payback against him. Which, yeah, makes sense if they killed them. The puppet, however, doesn't align with this.
I don't hate you, but you need to stay out of my way. The others are under my protection. The others are like animals, but I am very aware.
We know the puppet loves and cares about the other ghost kids, and knowing that Afton killed them wouldn't be too keen on him. However, this does not read to me as, you kill me, I hate you, get ready to get fucked. Rather, it reads more like, I know what you did, pretty fucked up, not gonna lie, but you're no longer a threat, which is good. So just stay out of my way, okay? At least that's how it reads to me. Henry's end speech in Pizzeria Simulator does imply his regret that he wasn't there to help her when she got, locked out and murdered, but it never explicitly implies that Afton was the one who killed her. Again, I could be way off, but I think that Charlie might not be a victim of Afton. I think she was murdered, she possessed the puppet, and when years later Afton began killing kids in that pizzeria, she acted as sort of protector and put their ghosts into the animatronics. She does say that the others are like animals, unlike her, who is aware, so I think she did directly contribute to the hauntings of the main 4. So while I am going to place them before Susie on the timeline, I am not putting them as Afton's first victim. I'm going to get more into that in a second, but I want to mention one more important death before I get to that. Crying child is scared of the animatronics and has horrible nightmares about them. The camera and sister location imply that this is in fact William's home and his son. The kid has horrible nightmares about them, sees them as like these monsters that want to devour him. It implies that something traumatic happens surrounding animatronics. Some people think he might have seen one of like the murder victims get stuffed into the suit. Some people think that might have just been from his older brother tormenting him, which as someone who had an extremely sensitive younger brother isn't that much of a stretch actually. If I had consistently terrorized and scared him with My Little Pony toys growing up, I think he would have been deathly afraid of My Little Ponies. Some kids, especially little boys, can be hypersensitive. Now, I didn't terrorize my little brother growing up, I loved him very much, but Michael certainly does. So at one point, his older brother and his friend hold up to Fredbear's mouth, which ends up crushing his head. Was this intentional? Probably not. But if Afton had antisocial disorder, as serial killers often do, then it's possible that his son might have inherited some of those traits, especially if he faced any sort of abuse. So it's possible that Michael knew this would hurt his brother, or he just didn't care. If this is the case, he seems to have grown past the sadism as he gets older, if he is in fact the protagonist of the various FNAF games. Anyway, Fredbear, his little stuffed Fredbear, tells him to put him back together. Some people think that this is Afton, and that Afton is like walkie-talking to his son through the bear and trying to give his kid nightmares so that he's like scared of the animatronics. I don't think so. I generally don't think that he, as a full-grown man running multiple businesses, is taking the time to like say cryptic shit through his kid's teddy bear. I think Fredbear is probably an imaginary friend, at least like sort of. Because we see people getting dressed into the golden Springtrap suits, we know that this is pre-FNAF 2, putting it at the beginning of the timeline. Since the Springtrap suits are implied to be gutted and turned into regular non-lethal suits later, since Golden Freddy seems to get repaired between FNAF 2 and FNAF 1, but is still slashed over without an endoskeleton. Of course, it's also possible that it can also be fitted with an endoskeleton and be made into a regular animatronic. But the lack of wires is what makes me think empty suit. We know that our boy Freddy became the frontrunner, and Fredbear, although his suit was kept, was not put back into the crew. Probably because the instant of Crying Child getting his head crushed by him. Now, Crying Child is not a direct victim of Afton, but I find the fact that Fredbear appears after his death and tells them that he'll put him back together quite interesting. Going back to what I was saying earlier about Crying Child's trauma, well, it might really just be a case of his brother locking him in the supply closet and harassing him. Why is he scared of Fredbear specifically? In FNAF 2, the phone guy mentions that there were some issues at the old place, and that was kind of left to rot. Coincidentally, some new animatronics were made that were more child-friendly and outfitted with facial recognition software, specifically to look out for predators. We also know that the Rod suits were originally going to be refurbished, but they were old and smelly. The puppet obviously exists, and since Charlie was obviously murdered out in the open and their body was discovered, I imagine this is the controversy that the company is dealing with, not Crying Child getting accidentally crushed. Now, at the end of FNAF 2, on night 6, Phone Guy tells us that the restaurant needs to close down for a while. You see, someone was using the yellow spring bodysuit and ... The animatronics were also said earlier to be getting more aggressive towards adults, and it sounds to me like the tail end of Afton's murders and the investigation that followed it. Going by the Withers haunting the halls at night, and the puppet having the Give Life minigame, we know that the 4 Withers stage crew are probably haunted. Now, Spring Fredbear is also rotted, implying that it's retired, which makes sense if this takes place after FNAF 4. Now, let me float something by you, my little take on the situation, going by the lore of the OG game specifically, without really taking the lore from the books or whatever, just like some classic FNAF theory crafting from ye old days. Afton is a serial killer. He does not need a special reason to be one. People who kill other people, usually vulnerable people like women and children and minorities, do it because they are mentally ill, they are thrill-seeking, entitled, sick pieces of shit. Afton does not need a reason to kill those kids. People who kill kids, they don't do it for a reason, or at least any sort of like reason a normal person could justify. They do it because they want to feel in power, and they don't value the lives of other people, and they target people who are weaker than them because they are cowards. That being said, Afton murders a kid one day using the Spring Bunny suit. They hide their corpse in the Spring Fredbear suit, and after the restaurant closed, dispose of the body. Afton wasn't the only freak boy around, however. Someone else, we don't know who, killed Charlie sometime after this. Obviously, this generates a lot of buzz, so Afton needs to lay low for a while. After possibly witnessing either the first kid or Charlie's murder, Crying Child is unintentionally killed by his older brother. After the closing of the old restaurant, Afton resumed his killings, using the old suits to hide the bodies of his victims. There is an investigation after the body suit is discovered with possible evidence, but Afton is not convicted. Maybe the guy who killed Charlie is found out and gets the heat for all the murders. Maybe there just isn't enough evidence to convict Afton, but someone is at least charged. Later, Afton, feeling pretty invincible at this point, decides to start building animatronics that can help with his murder and child hiding preference. Another one of his kids, Elizabeth, becomes an unwitting victim. Regardless, Bro seems to be doing better as an animatronics builder and renter than a restaurant owner. Afton goes back to the closed down FNAF 1 pizzeria, either to grab parts, or maybe he's nervous about the evidence as there seems to be like bleeding and ooze and mucus and smelly things and just creepy haunted animation shit happening. As he's disassembling them, the ghosties pop out like, surprise motherfucker. Afton panics and he gets into the mascot suit. Bad idea. Over at the sister location, Elizabeth lures her older brother to the scooping room and uses him as a skin suit. And he, her, and their dad are all doing their weird zombie ghost shit. Springtrap ends up in a haunted attraction. That place gets burned down, maybe by Springtrap to hide evidence, or maybe by Michael to like kill his dad. Henry figures out what's going on at some point, lures everyone to the FNAF 6 location, and everyone fucking dies. I do consider the Steel Wool games to be a different timeline, don't ask me about that shit. So I think that Cassidy is the one he should not have killed, because killing Cassidy was so thrilling or exciting or relieving or whatever, that it's what set him on the path to become a serial killer. I also think that they were the most vengeful. They stuck themselves to that Fredbear suit. When Crying Child got murked, they showed up for him and taught him how to stick around. When Charlie died, they helped him possess the puppet. Think back to the minigame. Charlie doesn't give Cassidy life. Cassidy jump scares us at the end. They were already around. Chica mentions meeting the one he should not have killed, implying that they were already there when Susie did become a ghost. And when Afton does eventually burn, it's the first victim, the one who stuck around, who helped the others stick around and get him killed. Gary wants to stay behind to torture him for all of eternity. Now, I gotta admit, I see the movies and the books and the short stories and the Steelwool games as alternate universes. Things that borrow from the themes of the main story but have their own timeline. Also, I'm old as fuck, so if you're well, what about the Mimic?
That's not the lore anymore, Dad. They want you to read the book about the Mimic. I don't know about the Mimic. Why would they change FNAF? FNAF is FNAF.
Listen, it's all for fun. I don't think I'm right. I just think I'm creative and good at telling stories. I probably got lots of shit wrong. I do not have a PhD in FNAF. I've just been playing the game since they came out in 2014, and this is sort of the story that I've come up with while playing them. I know for newer fans, maybe this isn't what the consensus is, but if you're old like me, hopefully this is at least nostalgic and a fun theory that plays homage to the OG era FNAF. Anyway, what do you guys think? Who do you think Afton's first victim was? Do you think he was killing the kids to get magic juice to resurrect his dead kid, and he killed his business partner's kid in a fit of jealousy? I don't really find that to be near as satisfying, but if you like that theory, that's cool with me. Tell me why you like it. I like hearing what other people's theories and opinions are. I think it's really neat. Speaking on that, I have a Tumblr. Feel free to drop me an ask and just talk theories if you want to. I also just write up Inktober over there, so there's just lots of fun all around. I also have a Ko-Fi that you should definitely check out. I have an exclusive companion video up right now. It's a get ready with me, putting on all this while I go over more in depth about my feelings around FNAF. I have all my other exclusive videos up there too, available at any tier or through any one-off tip. All of that money goes directly back to these videos to make them better for y'all. I also recommend subscribing. I make cool videos just like this one, and I have a couple fun series going on at the moment, so I'd love to have you around if you'd like to be there for that. Thank you so much for watching. You guys are awesome, and remember,